right, we're back. Now it's time to talk about The Lost World. Did you fall asleep? Did The Lost World put you to sleep?
No, it didn't. In fact, in 1997, it was the big sequel that everybody was looking forward to.
Yeah.
The big hit Jurassic Park. What would all the news media say? Is there going to be a Jurassic Park 2? I love that they took the story of the book where it is the Lost World Jurassic Park, not really enforcing the sequel of Part 2. This is a different story to the same element.
Something you didn't really see back then.
Exactly.
So
I mean,
it was always part 2, part 3, and
it's always nice when you come up with a unique title. Now, Star Trek Into Darkness, whatever it happened. But anyway, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, it was reminding you that this is a separate story, but we're still in the Jurassic Park world. I think the music that John Williams, because I keep going back to John Williams, again, he brought an entirely new score, and you didn't really even hear the Jurassic Park theme for most of the film until the end, when you find like, oh yeah,
Which
now it really complements this was a sequel to Jurassic Park.
And oddly enough, I first, for 1 second, found that off-putting, and then I remember after you bought the soundtrack, and we were talking about it more, because we were in line about 2.5 hours before the showing, sitting in the parking lot, just sitting in line, just waiting patiently. I wasn't a fan of the score at first, but then the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about just how very different this film was, I have a lot of fondness for that soundtrack now. I actually enjoy it just about as much as the original.
So you want to let them know what Lost World's all about?
Okay, so basically, John Hammond once again is involved. He sends Dr. Ian Malcolm this time to Site B. Well, originally Malcolm was like, hell no, I ain't going back to that place. He's like, Site B. Oh, so there's no fences this time. And but basically Malcolm has to, because his girlfriend Sarah Harding, played by the very talented Julianne Moore, has been on the island for a while now, studying these dinosaurs. And so Malcolm is reluctant at first, but when he finds out Sarah is already there, he decides he has to. But
It's okay.
I just forgot the old man's name. Are you serious?
Hammond.
Yeah. Hammond is tied up in these legal issues with his nephew. Is it his nephew?
Who's taken over the company, yes.
Who's taken over the company, who wants to exploit the dinosaurs now, create a new park on the mainland.
Smart, brilliant.
Which was an original idea before they went to the island. Go ahead.
Right. And he's basically making it to where it's gonna happen, and Hammond's like, we can't let this happen, and there we have our basic.
Really, going back again to this book to the movie, this one is where they're almost 99% different. The only real connections the story of the original book had to the film was Site B, as well as the T-Rex and the camper scene. But otherwise, much of the story for the film did not follow the books. They changed the twist to be able to make a moral story to it, which is where this film, I think, has its problems. I don't think this movie has a great track record as time has gone on.
Yeah.
It was a better sequel when it first came out,
Yes.
but as time has gone on, this movie has become a little more not cared for in the franchise, because everybody starts to pick out the bad things, and it's not holding up too well.
Right.
I think what Spielberg did do well was he was trying to adjust again.
He's trying to do something different.
Yeah, and he was trying to adjust again to where I'm not making the book, I'm making this own story because this is what people want to see.
Right.
And therefore, it kind of got off a little bit. The story was a little bit thinner. I mean, the reasons they went to the island in this story was absolutely just... Okay, 5 minutes right
now. It's cool that you brought that up, because when I saw Lost World in the theater, I was just like, yeah, this is awesome.
And it was great.
Oh man, now we got 2 T-Rexes this time, and the little companies, whatever they call those things. Those things running around, they were like the scariest thing in that movie. But and then at the end, spoilers.
More
sorry.
raptors. The raptors were more.
Yeah, there's more raptors, but spoilers. Sorry. But, the T-Rex ends up on, back in the city. What city was it?
San Diego.
San Diego. And not even expecting that. I was all like in the theater like, oh man, now it's like a Godzilla movie now. He's destroying buses and people are running away. I was like, this is awesome. And I was actually mad when people were destroying this movie after it was released. And I was like, man, it's a cool movie. What's these people's problem, right? But like you said, after years and time has gone by, I kind of don't really watch it anymore.
Yeah, I have a tough time watching it all the way through. I enjoy it, but I can see that...
I still don't think it's bad.
Correct.
There's good in there.
But I think where it comes behind this camera is what ended up happening. Spielberg was focused on another film at the time. He wasn't very highly involved.
Schindler's List?
I think so.
Schindler's List was 94.
Okay.
This was... It was
97.
Amistad, I think, right?
It should have been Amistad.
And then, so post-production was not his strong point. You look at Back to the Future Part 2, once again, where the director kind of had to step away to go do Part 3, and the post-production team that edited the film, he didn't oversee every little element, where you can see that Part 2 kind of has its failures and its flow. I think The Lost World heavily has that problem, and you can tell in the soundtrack score, because the score is brutalized in the film, because the editing pace of the film was just done not with Spielberg's, overall oversight.
Right.
And so I think the movie fails in the post-production world, but otherwise the elements of the story are still there. It's got a good moral and connection to where, if you're a Jurassic Park 1 fan, this one still feels like it fits. It hasn't just gone off and made a cash cow film like Part 3. Right. But where the fact was, yes, there were new things that we had never seen, but it just doesn't...
The pacing was off.
It doesn't flow right compared to some films today, and therefore you find where the troubles.
I'm sure they're waiting for us to talk about and discuss the gymnastics, the famous, well-known, awesome gymnastics sequence.
Again, something that today's world hits very negatively on, that we kind of all oversaw a little bit more in 1997.
Yeah. It was like, hold that thought.
The ethnic change in the...
Hold that thought. So this is me in the theater, like, oh man, this movie's awesome. Gets popcorn, Slurpee, yeah, this movie's great. What the hell? Right when that gymnastics scene happened, I was kind of like,
yeah.
Quick, throw to Jeff Goldblum one-liner to salvage it.
Okay, yeah.
It was
over now.
It was a rushed production, and the story wasn't hitting as very strong. But that one scene did have the jump in the film. Every film has a jump when Spielberg makes them.
Explain the gymnastics scene.
Jurassic Park 1 had the arm come off the wall, and the raptor came out through the wall. Well, and of course, with the gymnastics scene is where they were digging underneath, and then the raptor came. You didn't expect it. Right. And that is those moments, just like where Spielberg originally started with Duel, being able to create a universe that the audience can watch, and you are basically dragging. It's like dragging an anchor behind a boat, and the path that anchor is going to take, and the director's doing it.
Duel is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Buy it on Blu-ray.
Duel is awesome. So just real quick, what is the gymnastics scene? Just so that way people, because I'm sure they're wondering, what are we talking about?
Well, the daughter, I guess, earlier in the film,
this is the worst part of the film, okay?
There's one line that talks about, well, you've got your gymnastics, Ian Malcolm tells to his daughter, you got your gymnastics competition, and he's trying to encourage her not to go to the island with him and go back home because he's going to do the same mission. So it's one line that's been referenced in the entire film, and then all the way in the end,
only to set up.
She's freaking scared about the T-Rexes and getting the high hide, and oh my gosh, and she's freaking out. But now she's got this courage, and I'm gonna go do these flips.
These perfectly placed, usable. Not bending to human weight, not bending to actually have someone flipping over them, but they're just perfectly so placed so that a human being of her size can flip around and...
But again, to do what, though? Why is she flipping?
To kick the raptor and make it fall into
the
spikes.
She was like this big, was she like this tall? And she kicks a velociraptor, a full-size velociraptor, after doing gymnastics. Thingies.
Again, one of those things in the film that doesn't work very well. But what did work well, which was funny, in 1997, how many films did we have where the dog survived? Dante's Peak.
That's right. Boomers shall live.
Independence Day.
That's right. 1996. That's all the dogs were surviving. An hilarious moment when the T-Rex stood up with the chain in the doghouse.
Well played.
I always look at Spielberg and the way he may have set up that shot, which resonates all the way into, I want to say, the first Transformers film of Optimus Prime climbing out of the pool and the water reflection that happens in that scene where the T-Rex was licking the water in the pool. It's
similar.
Just, look at that setup, and it's almost where you can see where these two almost look identical in the same. You see where, even though Spielberg was a producer to Transformers, he had his hand in it somewhere, giving his thoughts and ideas. And I really kind of like that kind of stuff.
So, is it as bad as people say it is?
I don't think so, but it is the typical sequel not living up to the original. And it had its problems in writing. It had its problems trying to want to cater to certain audience. And it had its problems in post-production with its final editing.
And it all shows.
When the T-Rex showed up in San Diego, did it jump the shark? Did the movie jump the T-Rex? Did we just say, screw it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. You want to date the movie, look at the gas prices. And Ian Malcolm's face when the 76 ball starts rolling.
And that's the thing, as tacked on as it could feel, at the end of the day, it was more entertaining than it probably should have been, I think, in the hands of anybody else.
Still great practical effects, too.
Yeah. In the hands of anybody else, it might have come across as too ham-fisted and too just like, okay, I'm out. I'm out. My brain is out. But there was enough entertainment in that scene just to have the people running from the T-Rex.
But even to see the T-Rex at the end of the film, trying to give it, again, a character in itself, it's a CG character, where the T-Rex has the baby go and kill the villain. And just to kind of connect, there were little tidbits in there where the movie, hey, this still is there. It's still in the right place. Spielberg still got his hands on it. He's trying to make the best out of the mess that it was.
So it's a solid sequel.
Exactly. I think it is because it still has a lot of the same talent from behind the camera continuing, and I support that a lot. Some people don't, but look at the Highlander films where the same people made part two.
That's another review.
But again, you have to kind of just sit there and go, well, this is where the original people wanted to take it, and this is kind of what I think the movie also hurt trying to make Injun the villain. The book didn't. The book continued the Nedry story where it was another company was the villain. And I think the movie trying to make it's battling itself made the story too complex. I remember there being too many characters and you kind of couldn't go, well, who's this guy and who's that guy and who's this guy? Does anybody remember the don't go into the long grass guy?
Right.
Not into the long grass. That's all the lines he said in the whole movie. And then who is this
All right,
guy?
give me your honest opinion on Vince Vaughn in the movie. Now, I know there's 5 million Vince Vaughn fans out there. I know you exist. Okay? He's okay in certain comedies. Vince Vaughn is fine. Okay? Swingers, Vince Vaughn is good. But in my opinion, when I watched the movie and Vince Vaughn, what was his character? It's been a while for me.
Well, he ended up being...
He's playing Vince Vaughn like he does in all his movies.
Exactly.
Okay.
But he ended up being kind of that guy that was in the group that Hammond kind of placed there in case...
Right. Right. So you have all these dinosaurs running around. It's chaos. Okay? You got hunters. You got everybody running around screaming. It's chaos. And then all of a sudden, Vince Vaughn's the backup plan. And I remember kind of being in the theater like... Who is that guy? Yeah. And why is he supposed to be a badass? And then he just lets the dinosaurs free and yells at the T-Rex because the T-Rex can't get to him. I didn't really buy him. And I kind of still don't buy Vince Vaughn. There's an appeal, but...
Came from a poor script that really wasn't fleshed out.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just, we're getting through just to the action.
I'm the backup plan.
Something I did enjoy about The Lost World was that it's supposed to be set on a separate island from Jurassic Park. So what did they do? They didn't film in Hawaii. The film was actually Northern California and in the woods and the trees and the forests. And so therefore, in a visual setting, the movie takes a completely different tone.
Which I enjoyed.
Absolutely
I
agree
love
upon.
the atmosphere. It did not feel like your typical 80s and 90s sequel where it's basically just like Ghostbusters 2, you could argue, is a remake of the first movie for kids.
Yeah.
You could you could argue that. You could argue that.
That's right.
And that's what a lot of sequels did back in the day was they took, I mean, with the exception of Highlander, which again, yes, it's a different topic. It's a different topic. They didn't do the same thing the first Highlander movie did to their detriment. That was Highlander 3's job. A lot of sequels, they would just take exactly beat for beat what made
And
the first
rehash.
movie popular, and they would retool it so that it just looked different enough so that it could get by as a sequel, make its money, and then we'd all be done with it. This movie definitely did not do
Totally
that.
different.
It was a completely
So that's a
different film, and
positive.
It
Yeah.
is a positive.
I think production value was strong.
Okay.
It was behind the camera drama that just
Right.
fell apart.
And as opposed to Jurassic Park 3, in my opinion, the movie did not look cheap at all,
Exactly.
which is the big bonus.
And I think my point of bringing that up also was where the mistake in part 3, we'll talk in a minute, but 3 looks like 1. But it's supposed to be on the island of 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's supposed to be Site B, but they
Okay.
went and did all the shooting locations of the first film again. So what did you just do to us?
Yeah, that's why it was so much more green and bright.
And you even see the same rocks when the plane goes and flying. And you're flying the exact same approach that they
Okay.
did in the first film.
I did not know that.
And then at the same time, it was, let's shove the Jurassic Park music down your throat so many times. Because remember, we're watching Jurassic Park. So there are some people.
Watch Jurassic Park, damn it.
This is really a part 3. This is really a talk for part 3. But it was just, it's the reality.
We're getting there.
It's the reality where the producers wanted to go, let's capture this, because that's what the people didn't like about the second one. Which I did like about the second one, because we weren't at the same location.
Right. Rating out of 5 stars.
Out of 5 stars, I'm going to give this one 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 out of 5 stars.
3.5 for me. Ninja stars, yeah.
Yeah,
Bottom solid?
3.5. Yeah.
I'm only giving it that extra half from 3 because of its strong connection to 1. Because it still had Spielberg in it. It still had that ingenuity. The music with John Williams and the feeling when those T-Rexes come up to that Jeep and they pick the guy up.
There was
an amazing moment to watch those robots interact with
Yeah.
live people and even just tearing them apart. I'm just like, this is...
the animatronics with the baby T-Rex and
Yeah, that was really
great.
the baby
I did-
T-Rex.
I did.
That's all real.
Yeah,
That's a real animatronic.
things that many kids today won't
Yeah.
appreciate because
Yeah.
this stuff is just natural CGI to them now. And it doesn't look real. Well, he's holding it.
Yeah, he's holding it.
I felt they got enough right when the dinosaurs were on screen, when the humans weren't bickering about nonsense and dragging the film down. I feel that the suspension that did get built up with the T-Rex scene and with the raptor scene, and even with the end, goofy as it is, T-Rex and San Diego scene, there was enough Spielberg-style suspension in all of those scenes to make it it does not feel like it's a total waste of a film, which you could argue about our next movie.
Yes.
Just Jurassic Park 3, The Cash Cow. As-
Okay, he got that for free, all right? Just in case. We're not defending it, but there is some things.
Yes,
there is some positives, which we're going to get to right now. So
right.
overall, The Lost World, not as bad as people claim it to be a solid sequel.
Recommended for fans. Of the first
All
one.
right, let's get ready to dive into JP3. Help us! Help us!